Let's call the meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. Meredith, are you set to rock and roll?
Yes.
Cool. So,
Tracy recording?
yeah,
Can Tracy record?
she's recording. Aren't you recording, Tracy?
I'm about to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and record.
Maybe.
When I joined, Tracy, it said it was recording, so I don't know if you have already started.
Oh, I think he wants Chad.
She's good, you know.
Oh, you're good?
All
Okay.
set.
So we're all set. So we called the meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. First item of business is additions or deletions to the agenda. Hearing none, members of the public. I see several public people. Anybody would like to speak? Go ahead and unmute yourself. You know what? I need to make it full screen, don't I?
Hey guys, this is Dana Cerise. I have a quick question, and maybe Bob knows the answer to this. I read in the paper that Wyndham Elementary is closing. Are there any teachers over there that want to come to Wardsboro?
We actually have your teacher situation resolved. Donna will be reporting that out today.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. But we did check, and that person wasn't interested. If there's nobody else from members of the public, members of the staff, I think just one, Bridget. I'm gonna say staff has nothing. Old business, Wardsboro update, contract approval. Oh, there we go, Dana. This is it.
Yay!
Go ahead, Donna.
Tell us about it.
So the hiring committee made a decision after interviewing, and we made an offer to an applicant, Lindsay, and Lindsay accepted. And so we're here tonight to get board approval and then have Lindsay sign the contract and hopefully be starting after the new year.
Donna, I'm seeing you smiling for the first time in a while, so.
It feels good. It feels good. And a lot of people at the school are smiling as well. So it's wonderful to have somebody who is very into teaching and has an art licensure. And we are really happy to have Lindsay join our team at Wardsboro. She will make a wonderful addition to the staff.
Thank you. And somebody, Lisa, I think, was clapping her hands. And so, and you had a pretty good interview committee and a pretty good group, the same one you've been working with for a while.
Yes, the same group has been very dedicated. I'm very thankful and grateful for every member on the team who was able to be very, very flexible as these came up. Very quickly to interview, and we had a very nice process. We also processed after the interview to get feedback about how things went during the interview. A little bit of feedback that I got from Lindsay was that she was very impressed with the questions we asked her, and thought that those were the best questions she's ever been asked in an interview. So I thank everybody who contributed to that. I will give some recognition to Scotty, principal at Newburgh School, who helped me navigate some of those questions. So it's great to have a very collaborative place to be working in. I'm very thankful for Tracy, who also was part of that committee, and her feedback in the whole process has been very helpful. So thank you to the hiring committee, and thank you to the board navigating this, challenging time.
Yeah, Rich, can I keep on some love as well? I just want to thank, obviously publicly thank Donna and her staff for managing as we went through this transition, and also the board for taking the amount of time that you guys took to really carefully consider all the different options, and the patience of the families. It was just a really nice community effort, I think, to resolve a really hard problem and come up with, in the end, a solution that's going to keep the sixth graders there, which is what the parents wanted all along anyways. So it's kind of a win-win, and everyone just did a great job. So I just want to collectively say thank you to everybody.
Yeah, I'd like to also echo that. I mean, the board, we had a lot of extra meetings. Parents, thank you for your input. That really helps. It's hard for us to make a decision as a board without input from the parents, and I know it was not easy, and we all struggled with it. And Donna for keeping the wheels from coming off the bus, and Tracy for handling all the stuff. I know you weren't feeling the love for a little bit because we weren't over here a lot to visit you. So, but thank you to everybody. So I have a contract here for a Lindsay Bushy Hesselback, and I would need a motion for the chair to approve to have the chair sign the 104-day full-time contract for that person.
I would like to make a motion to have the chair sign the 104-day full-time contract for Lindsay Bushy Hesselbeck.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Kate, a second by Chad. Meredith, you good with that?
Can you spell her name?
Sure, it's Lindsay, Lyndsay, and the last name is BUSHEY-HESSELBACH.
That's exactly what I thought it would be. Just kidding. Thank you.
Common spelling. So Kate and Chad, any comments, questions?
We're very excited.
Mike or Laura, you guys all set?
I think I know her. Kate, do I know her from Mount
You do know
Snow
her.
days? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, just one question, Bob, again, because it says the teacher must submit a copy of their professional educator's license. But is she all licensed, or is this a provisional license, or is this a...
So she has licensure in the state of Vermont, but not elementary ed. So we will be requesting a provisional elementary ed license to add to her current endorsements. But having already been a licensed teacher, art, K through 12, we feel not only confident that the AOE will approve it, but also confident that she's going to have the skill set to be able to do this work.
One time in Dover, we had an art teacher come in and become a classroom teacher, and they loved it. So hopefully it'll be the same love over there. So if there's no other... Yep, go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, I'm not gonna dote on about how appreciative I am of all the work, but I will say I've never seen anything like this. And this was really an event. We did have all new leadership, and I'm so glad that we are here. I am also really interested, Richard, in hearing from folks with a little distance, maybe January or February. Some sort of report back on, an after-action review, maybe from our super and administrators about anything that they think we should know, or anything they're investigating at January, February. We definitely don't need to keep the pressure on these folks, but it would be nice to have some reflection on all of this, considering what an ordeal it was and how new all of you were. And so it'd be great to know what will be lasting for you all, if you're willing to entertain that, Rich. So, and the board, there you go. Thank you all very much. Glad we got this result.
Okay.
Richard, can I say one last thing?
Yeah, as long as it's germane to the motion.
I want to thank Lisa Valentine, because Lisa had came to me early, and she said to me, Donna, let's have a parent forum. Let's get the parents together, and and I thank her so much for being upfront, and same with Janine Plimpton. Being a new administrator in a building, I just was very appreciative to their honesty and transparency on how we could collectively work this through. And I think we really, really did it well. And we didn't, jump the gun on anything, and looked at all the options. So thank you to the parents of Wardsboro.
Yeah, I will again echo that I thought the parents did a very good job for as hard as it was on them to not come in and blow us up. It was very nice. So, and I thought it was a good working relationship too. At least I hope they feel that way. So if there's nothing else, you all set, Mike? If we're all ready to vote, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 So it appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Tracy, I'm going to slide this under the glass and then upside down so you can have, thank you. Hey, so let's keep on these really great positive notes, because I got a little birdie whispered in my ear. Facilities update, the Wardsboro PCB results. So Don, I think you've got everything in line. You're doing great. Tell us about PCB results in Wardsboro. How bad were they?
They weren't. There were none. So we are clear of PCB.
So 1 out of 2 ain't bad, right? And actually, Dover PCB update, I know, Tracy, you're still going through testing, and really we aren't as bad as we could have been compared to some other buildings, I think. So
Greg did ask me to let you guys know that the Martin Luther King Jr. weekend is when they're going to come back and do that final round of testing. That got short-circuited earlier, so that's the last round. Will happen that weekend in January.
And then we'll get those results kind of at the end of the year, the end of the school year.
It'll be a couple months probably. Yeah.
Okay, and they're not going to leave Tracy a mess.
Can't make any promises for Greg.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible. I mean, it is kind of annoying, but Dave's pretty good at fixing it up.
Okay. Chad, I think we had you down to update us on the website, sir.
Yes. So, Rich, you saw the email thread with Derek and myself and Matt. Matt did not reply, so I still have some unknowns, I guess you'd say. So a couple things that we were talking about, Derek had asked about a couple pages that he's seeing on the back end that we removed. I didn't want to delete the entire page in case it came back for a need, but these are pages that are not linked to, for the public, so they won't have a way to connect to them. There was a request, Edworks had built in placeholders for photographs, headshots of each member of the board. So that's something that, personally, I think we should have, being that we are a public entity. I think, especially our small community folks should be able to know who we are. Obviously, want to discuss that with, each of my colleagues here on the board. On that same page, it also has our contact emails. It asks Derek, who is, more of the IT guru, that's, his role here with the WCSU, to help us out. I discussed, briefly, at least, Rich was able to read, because right now, our chairman, his email address, and Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not actively using the WindhamCentralBoard.org email. Is that correct?
That is. I have a lot of trouble with it, being, the technological guru that I am.
Right. So in my text, it may not have made a whole lot of sense, but depending upon what email service you're using, there is certainly a way to have all of those WyndhamCentralBoard.orgs delivered to one location so that you don't have to, go in different places. For example, the past year, I've had my personal email, being involved with Castle and St. Lacrosse, that email, my job with Berkshire Bank, so juggling an awful lot. And so I understand that it can be, difficult to make sure you're getting everything. So, there is a way to make that, user-friendly for you, and wanted your input personally on being able to have that email be the forward-facing that you do get and communicate, on these public issues with. Again, that's something, for the board to discuss if there's any issues one way or another. But I just feel that as a unified cohort, it would be best if we were utilizing that domain for all of our communication to and from. The big sort of hole right now, we do have a frequently asked questions page for prospective families. This was something, again, I think having Matt and Tammy being a part of the original committee, that this would have been much more easily developed. Tracy, you have a long tenure with the Dover School, so I'm very confident that you have fielded a lot of these questions as a teacher, as well as now in your role as principal. Donna being brand new to the River Valley's Unified School District, this may be a little more difficult, but I think the ideal way to develop this page, if it is still something we want to put together, is to do that sort of in a group forum, so that we can gather from the experiences that you've had as administrators. Laura and Rich, certainly with your long tenure here as school board members, I think there are some that you might have come across, that fit the frequently asked questions to really fill out that page. And again, if we think it's needed, if not, it's one of those elements that we can hide the link and move on. One more question was on the community dashboard. And as I mentioned to Derek, that this is a page that is not necessarily required. We have included community links, meaning to the town of Dover, town of Wardsboro, as the footer of each and every page, both for each school's individual site as well as the board site. So we do have access to those. With that said, it could very well become the home for some of the local events that both towns are very proud of. Blueberry Festival, Tournament Festival, 4th of July Parade, and I'm sure there's a whole host of others that we could add. But the question I would have in that vein is, is the school district website the logical start point for someone seeking information about local happenings that are not organized by the schools themselves? So again, that was a discussion point to be had. I do have a couple of questions with regard to how the website is going to be maintained going forward. Again, I was under the impression that when we formed the committee originally, and then as that dissolved for a variety of reasons, and I became sort of the project manager, the idea for us was to create the structure and put together the majority of the content. Obviously, we've had a lot of input from the art staff, from members of WCIC with regard to kindergarten, food service, etc. Some great editing remarks from the admins in both buildings. But I was, again, under the impression that the individual maintenance, because, again, we're intending to bring a product that didn't have to have a lot of daily maintenance, but more as events come about, the changing of lunch schedules, really things on the minor side, if we want to update photographs as events come about, to really showcase, the present time of the schools, that the admins of each building and principals would have access to the ability to manage that. Because I don't know, and this was a question that I put forth to both Derek and Matt, despite Derek's expertise and his amazing efforts, we would not be where we are today without him, and I'm so grateful for his involvement. from the beginning, all the way through now. But, is Derek in his role as a director of IT to become the webmaster of our school district's domain? And also, is that appropriate to shift RVUSD into sort of ownership of the WCSU? And then, of course, lastly, does the additional work fit into the scope of the IT coordinator's role? Okay. So those are the questions that I have remaining. Happy to review those, kind of go through them one at a time.
Yeah, Chad, Chad, hang on 1 second.
Sure.
Laura, do you have a general question, or because I'd like to just make one quick comment, if you don't mind? Is what I'm wondering.
I don't have a question. I have
Oh.
a comment.
Okay.
So go right ahead.
So my question, I guess, Chad, is do we want to break these down? Because you went over several different things, and I think you're looking for some input. So was your intent to have the input tonight, or was your intent to just review it tonight, have us think about it, and then discuss it at the next meeting?
I'm certainly open to each one. Just to share, that email thread, I was hoping to get a couple answers from, folks who came before, mainly, asking who previously, before we unveiled the new website, who it was in each building that was handling the maintenance. And that was a big one. Having Bob here, I think, is going to be very helpful to answering the last questions as far as what happens with the WCSU RVUSD involvement, IT coordinator being utilized for both. It's our role on the board is being that conduit between admins, teaching professionals, and parents, all together. And as you said, Rich, it's not for us to dictate what, those professionals are doing on their job, just supporting them in their roles as best we can. So I wanted to make sure that we all together, admins, teaching professionals, superintendent, we're all in the understanding of how this was going to finalize itself and carry on in the future.
Okay, how about if you hold that thought for 1 second? Laura, go ahead and say a piece.
Excuse me. It's my recollection that this was to have been user-friendly. Certainly in my mind, I envisioned, excuse me, something that our administrative staff would be, I'm gonna have to come back, sorry.
Okay. So Kate, and we still don't have Dwight and Mike. Do you want to have, I think maybe it would be helpful if Chad went through each one of his topics and we just discuss them one at a time. Is that okay with you guys? Does that work for you, Kate? Chad, why don't we go through the topics and one at a time? Just tell us what the topic is and what you need from us or from Bob and Tracy and Donna to push that forward.
Sure. Well, I think, we can really start anywhere. But I think, the first question to involve, and I'm really interested to hear from Laura. I'm sorry, Laura, that you weren't able to, as soon as you're ready to complete that thought, say so. Just come on board. Because I think what I heard her start to say is critical to what we do for the next step. Are you ready? Awesome.
I am. Thank you. Is that all right, Rich?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Put your hand down, though.
Yeah. So that was always my sense that that was our intention for our schools to be able to easily, that we had a website that was up that was easily updated by our staff. I would be really reluctant to be turning over updating of this to the SU. That feels like, just a recipe for frustration and disconnect and hopefully it's easy enough for our staff. And so I guess my hope would be that if that's where we're all going, that we would arrange some training for the admins and whoever they want to be there. Maybe some modules like webinar types of things that teachers and others could watch and have as reference documents or whatever. So that's it. That's all I have to say.
Kate, do you have any?
Fantastic, Laura. Thank you for that. And to
Hey,
piggyback
Chad.
on that,
Yeah, hang on 1 second. Go ahead, Kate.
I feel like the way that this was intended is that the previous websites have both been maintained by the folks in the building, and we worked to select something that would be user-friendly. And I believe you guys did offer some trainings at the start of the year, but everybody had a really tricky start of the year, so maybe if we could add a training session if people's time is a little bit more there now. But I believe, yes, the intention was to not change the process and who updates it. It was still going to be maintained like the same process that it was before, not for us to make any changes.
And Dwight, you just joined us, but we're discussing the website update. So Chad's going to break down the questions he sent to us, and we're going to discuss each one. And right now we're talking about whose responsibility it is to update it. Are you good?
I'm good.
So I just want to ride the coattails a little bit of Laura and Kate. And the reason we brought this to the voters to spend this money to revamp this was because the previous program, the previous website was not user-friendly. It was hard for people to make changes, so it got very stale, and it kind of became a joke. So it was like there was a website, nobody used it. So I think it's important that it can be updated. I don't care who updates it, but as long as that, if one of the administrators or the teachers can have a teddy bear picnic in their classroom and they want people to know about it, there's a way for that to get up there without having to wait 6 months ahead of time to get somebody in central office to do it, or however. I think that was the original idea behind going with another company, was to make something that would stay current and fresh and allow and not be difficult to use. And Laura, I don't remember, Kate, if you were there, but Laura or Dwight, I know I believe we were in Wardsboro when we had the discussion and got approval for this, and I thought that was what we said. If you guys are in agreement, I think, Chad, that's what we need to make happen.
yeah, again, part of the proposal that Edwards brought is to include those trainings, and so. Cynthia, one of the partners with Edwards, she came down and spent time with both Derek and myself. And again, I came to this with zero website building experience. Obviously, like all of you, I've navigated my fair share, having been in college admissions, paid attention to that element, and certainly with my kids and their schooling and all the rest. But I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised at the ease of use that this setup does bring. Sure, there's a learning curve, but Edwards is on board to deliver those trainings in person. Like Cynthia had come down for both Derek and myself, and then she had, and Donna, correct me if I'm wrong, you were able to have a short session, both you and Jennifer Finaldi, in the Wardsboro building. And Tracy, you and Lori had difficulty scheduling. Again, as Rich said, the start of the school year was not as smooth as we had all hoped. We had some certain hurdles, and certainly the nascence of both principals falls into that, by all means. So how much time were you able to spend with Cynthia, or none at all? I can't recall.
So,
I did not. Okay.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I didn't spend any time with her, and I have sat with Derek and Lori, and I don't mean any disrespect, but this website is not user-friendly, not on the back end. I mean, and I'm pretty tech savvy, and it is difficult at best.
So Jennifer Finaldi and I sat down with Cynthia for over 2.5 hours, and it was a lot of information. You would need a lot of practice with it. We didn't even touch upon, we just touched a little bit of that website, and it is pretty comprehensive. It would require more practice and training to become pretty fluid with it.
Go ahead, Laura.
Is this on a WordPress platform?
Yes.
Okay, so is it complicated, or are there just a lot of things that we could do? So, I mean, I have a WordPress platform that was, tricky to, learn over time. There's a lot of options, but, actually updating is pretty.
But again,
Well,
one of
that's
the
probably
reasons.
not a conversation for here. So
One of the reasons we went, Bridget, hang on a second, I'll get to you, okay? One of the reasons we went to this was to make it easy for everybody so that it didn't, it wouldn't take hours of training. And, I think we need to really make sure that we do that, is that make it, and maybe they were trying to show them too much to like how to move. I don't know, but we do need to be able to have somebody be able to add content, and I don't know if that's what Bridget's going to talk to us about, but we wanted to make it so that like if somebody's doing something, they could get it on there fairly easy. Bridget, go ahead.
Thank you. I can understand the importance of getting information out in a timely fashion, and it does make sense to be able to have access to that. However, I do want you to be, cognizant of the impact that would have on educators who may or may not be as tech savvy as others. It's just one more thing to have to navigate and learn. So I would suggest that you be mindful of that, please.
Yeah, and that's what we thought we were getting, was something that you could just type in like a little paragraph and have it go up on the site, not having to know how to do anything. Like any of us could do it, like I could even do it. And that's what we thought. I thought that's what we were headed towards. I didn't know it was something that would take a lot of training. Laura, go ahead, and then I don't know, Chad, if we're gonna accomplish anything here.
So I think we should acknowledge that this project. First of all, how much did the voters pay for this?
I think we're just over 19,000. We budgeted up to 30,000.
Okay, great. So I think we should acknowledge that this project started with a different superintendent and different administrators and a different project manager. And so that's not, so that presents a degree of difficulty and a problem to solve, but not a project to abandon. So, I guess if Chad, what help do you need in order, and Bob and Tracy and Donna, to come up with a plan for how we can maintain this website, this investment that the voters made, so that we have good updated information on our website? What would be helpful to you?
And also what Bridget just said too. So they need to get input from their staff so that if the staff wants to be able to use it, that it's simplified for them.
The staff should be using it eventually, right? So
Right, but what that's not what we're hearing, that it's that user friendly. So can we, Chad, can you take that and run with that for us?
Yeah, let me address a couple things. First of all, Bridget, thank you for your comment, because it certainly is. You stated it very well, and it was something that the committee itself had considered. And the idea was never to train everybody this is going to be a professional development day that we are going to spend on how to operate and maintain a website. But for anyone who is interested, because again, if we get too many cooks in the kitchen, the recipe may just not be so tasty. But again, with that said, what I was under the impression as being part of the committee and putting this together now solely is that the structure would have been developed. So we're not asking, or, once it gets turned over to each building, you're not being asked to create all new pages, but merely be able to say, okay, for example, I'll take a very easy one, the lunch menu. There's a couple things that need to be updated. One, annually, which is the free and reduced meals and the application things. It should have, we've built it in so that that information is there. And then, of course, the bi-weekly menus that come out. So again, that structure is there, and it's a matter of opening that particular page on the back end, taking out the old menu, inserting the new one, pressing save, and being done. So I certainly am wide open and empathetic to the concerns that felt overwhelming. I think, to Tracy, now that may be, the right word to apply at your first glance, because I definitely felt that way as well. I took a lot of notes when Derek and I sat with Cynthia, and felt like I got to handle it pretty well, because again, it wasn't me creating the pages. Edgeworks had created the framework and taught me how to pull in, pull out, and how to change the name of links, to change their location. So that, again, it was not meant to be, and is not meant to be for, the IT guru who is proficient in coding. That's not what we're looking
Chad.
at. Yes, Laura.
So, Rich, may I interject here?
Sure.
I feel like we are way deep in the weeds. And I have a suggestion. So, sounds like we're under budget. So maybe we can work with the IT staff at the supervisory union on getting some learning materials, as I said, maybe some webinars or easy to use kind of handhelds for teachers for the very basic functions. So if we pay someone to kind of, do we have, to like, here's how you're going to manage this in your building, like to create kind of materials for management, would that be helpful?
Well, so I was going a little different direction. I think we've told Chad what we're looking for, and I think Tracy and Donna and Bob have heard it. So I'm hoping that what we've kind of discussed can be translated into going back to everybody, and there should be like a 2-sentence thing. If you want to update something on the third grade web page, this is what you do, and then you press enter and it's done, type of thing. So that's what I was hoping that maybe, Chad, you could take back to Edgeworks, see if they can do something that would be very simple for folks, just to take the lunch menu out, 3 bullet points, or to add an event that's going on in the classroom, not change what the whole thing looks like. And can you discuss that with them and with Bob and the tech people, and then just see if you can work something out that is acceptable to everybody, that the administration can work with, and that the staff can work with. And I understand some staff will put more, have more knowledge and be able to do more with it, but at least give every staff member the basic ability to keep their section fresh enough that it doesn't get stale and old.
Right, and with that, Rich, there is not a section for each grade for each teacher.
Okay, that's fine. I just assumed there was going to be.
Yeah, and I think that was done by design, with intent, based on the input from the previous principals who were involved in the committee in putting together. And I think it's important that everyone does know that we still have time that has been contracted with Edgeworks for Cynthia to come down and spend time, with members of our staff at all levels, to be able to give them, the in-person education that they need. And I will say, knowing my learning style, being a visual learner, that may be why I was able to take to it, a little more quickly and find, relative ease of use. So, again, I just want to make sure that, both Tracy and Donna understand, for me, that I am also understanding that, the learning curve may be different. I don't know how each of them learns. I know they're fantastic educators. But how we all learn is a little bit different, and our, the ability to absorb that information, will change based on the project.
So, go ahead, Dwight. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, I just want to add, I think I agree. Obviously, we need some more education here on this project. I just want to, if I remember correctly, Edgeworks, they're a Vermont-based company that has experience with elementary schools in the state. So I'm sure they've had this learning curve for them as well. So I would think, more interaction with them with our administration would go a long way. So I think, yeah, it seems like we've got to get hurdles to overcome it, but Edgeworks seems like they've done this before, so I would assume that they're very good at this.
So, Chad, what are the other topics that you want to input on? I think there was something about
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So just kind of a project management question. So, and I apologize, Chad, if I was not following you early or on. When we started this project, it was being led by the administrators, and we had check-ins with the committee. Is that right?
Matt served as the chair of the website implementation committee, is what we had named ourselves. And you had myself, Derek, Matt, Tammy, and Mark Schauber. So we had a representative.
Communicating with the company.
Matt, as the chairperson, took the lead, and then Mark, who had more experience than any of us in the website space, did quite a bit as well.
Okay, so Richard, I am getting a little worried actually that we are now kind of handing this to that Chad is the last man standing, and we cannot be reliant on a good solution here with just the last man standing. So
Well, Mike and I will volunteer to take Mark's place, but I don't think even between the two of us we're going to map too much. You want to be on the technology?
I can guarantee.
So,
I like
yeah,
that.
Laura, that's a good point. And Chad, is in a different position now too with his job. So what is the answer then, Chad? Are we...
I think we need some help from the supervisory union, Mr. Superintendent. I think we need some assistance. I know everybody's tapped. Do we have, when,
Yeah.
I guess the question would be, when can we get some help from the supervisory?
And I don't know what Derek's background is with regards to web work, if that's something he has a background in.
Derek Derek is a website designer. He knows how to do that. That's why I asked him, because he's in our building. I mean, I know he works for the SU, but he is housed at Dover, and he is willing and able to upload pictures and change menus as long as he gets the information. That's why I was like, hallelujah, please do it. This is what he does this is his thing.
So then, hey, Bob, can we do this between you, Chad, Tracy, and Donna? Can you guys all talk to Derek, and at the next meeting, just come back to, it is asking a lot from a board member to try to coordinate all this. Can we get somebody to coordinate this with a technological background? Even I think since you stole Matt, maybe you should supply Matt to us for a while. Because he's got a lot of experience, and Matt can talk with Derek, who I think is Derek's boss, and then maybe between the two of them, and then Chad can just kind of be a liaison instead of him having to do a lot of work. Can we try that and come back at the next meeting?
We can. I thought that was had been already decided. That's why I thought that was already a thing that was happening. So
but I think what happened was they dumped a lot. Somehow Chad had a lot of questions he had to get answered to let them to go to the next step, and I know we asked Derek to be here, but he doesn't do after hours meetings, so I don't know how we deal with that. But it'd be nice to not dump this on Chad, I guess. And then Chad, maybe what we can do is those questions that you kind of need board input on. I mean, if you want to do headshots, I think that's great. Maybe we should just have a board contact, not specific board members, because we really shouldn't be acting as specific board members. We act as a board, so that maybe it's just, the River Valley board, and we have one person who monitors that for us and brings that to board meetings, because we don't want to get into responding back and forth if parents start. So I think and I forget what your other issues, what your other questions were, but maybe, I know you sent them to me and I thought we were going to have them here as part of the packet. So maybe we can just you can break that down, and here are the things that we need to make decisions on. that are appropriate for the board, and here's decisions that we need recommendations from the technological people. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, I'll reach out to Matt to start and see. I want to make sure that the context of Derek's job description and what the district utilizes him for, that will not put a strain on that. Because obviously supporting his other role, he supports all IT for River Valleys and Marlboro. So it's a pretty big role, and so I want to make sure that Matt is okay with him accepting that management load, and if he is, then it sounds like a solution. If Matt's got concerns, we'll address it and we'll go from there.
Does that work for you, Chad?
Yeah, yep, I can definitely summarize, what was in that email and break it down between, board consideration, superintendent consideration, and then there's also that collective mix, I think, with the FAQs based on the combined knowledge and experience of, all of us as stakeholders.
Okay, and Tracy and Donna, that good with you folks? You good, Donna? Okay, and the board, Kate and Lauren, Dwight, you guys all set with that, folks? You sure? Okay, Mike and I are like breathing a sigh of relief that we don't have to take over the webpage. So let's...
As is the general public, I'm sure.
Yeah, as is the entire world. Policy update. I think I know the answer to this, Kate.
It has not been a priority yet. I will make it a priority within the next month to work with Mike to figure out a time when we can meet and our agenda.
And we'll have more time because we're not doing the webpage either.
And the hiring committee and all the other things, so we'll be good.
Okay, Mike's happy. He's smiling. Moving on, is there any other old business, Kate or Chad or Dwight or Laura? A lot of head shaking. No, Laura, you good? You all set? Okay, approve current financials. Bob, I don't think I saw any financials. Did you, Kate? Cool, that was easy. Principals reports, we had your written report at the beginning of the month. Donna, besides, and you brought us a lot of good news. Do you have anything else that we need to know?
Just real quick, we had our community harvest and concert last week, and it was really well attended. It was the first time for a lot of our students to perform in a concert. So quite a few of them were a little nervous, but they did really well. And we served about 103 lunches.
Cool. Turkey and mashed potato?
Turkey and mashed potatoes and sweet potatoes.
Gill feather turnips? Oh. Tracy, any updates from you? Anything new?
No, just the same for us, that we had our winter concert and community feast last week, and both also were well attended. Kids had a great time. Parents were very happy to have a winter concert because they haven't had one in, I think, 5 years. So they were super excited about that, and that's all.
Thank you. Are there any questions for either one of the administrators? Then Bob, it's the big guy's turn.
All right, well, I sent out the cabinet report a week and a half ago for December, and I noticed that each month it seems to be getting longer, and I assume that's because we're doing so well. But I wanted to check in with you guys to ensure that the level of detail is what you're looking for in that report. Is like, I think in the fourth page. So I just want to see if anybody had any questions or concerns about the report, but also just to see, is the level of detail too much? Is it not enough? Is it hitting the sweet spot? Yeah, just to see what you guys thought.
I'll have to touch back on it.
We're good here, Kate or Chad, Dwight or Laura. You're getting thumbs up, Bob, so.
All right, we'll carry on then. The other thing that's just going on is as we get deeper into budget season, well, the other districts are already in their draft phase. You guys are going to be coming up next month, I guess, with that. And there's still a lot of moving parts, as you know, at the state level. But we're seeing that the new long-term weighted ADM counts are benefiting a lot of the other districts. So we'll see how the impact is for Valleys, but we're seeing some positive impact.
Okay, and then we also had playground update under budget talk, and Tracy and Donna, when we meet, Kate and I meet with Bob to put together the agenda, and I think there was a discussion when Donna and Tracy, you talked to Lori about budget. Did you folks did talk about the playground and put some money aside for that, or not? And if you didn't, then what are we doing and how are we going to do it?
So yeah, they're talking about the pre-K, and so yeah, we were given the instruction to you guys to develop a plan. From what I've heard, that Dover has a plan proposal, and that Wardsboro does not yet.
Right.
Is that accurate?
So
That was
yeah,
last
we,
week.
as far as right now, we're doing a little backtracking. We have no playground for them at all. So the backtracking on this project is that we don't have a lot of options to put the pre-K playground, like looking at the land and where it can go, especially after the rain today. There was like a rushing river behind the playground that we already exist, and the water was filling into the potential area we were thinking about putting it. So we may be limited based on what is underground too because of our septic situation. So we're really hoping to have Scott. He was going to come, and he's from the original, let's see, it's Ben Schaefer Recreation. So the playground that was already put in, he's going to come and look at the land, look at our where our septic is, where we could potentially have something put due to big trucks coming in, and the big trucks can't be going on our septic. So we really have to wait and see about that before we put a playground or something together. That's where we are at.
Okay, so I think just as we get into budget, I'm sure it's going to be something that we get questioned about. So just, I think
Okay.
keep that in the back of your all minds. And then Lori will bring us a budget here, I believe we said the end of January, right, Bob?
That sounds right. Yep.
So we did at the last meeting have Andy here go over some dates and deadlines, and Bob and Lori and somebody else met, the person I think who's doing the booklet now for us, or
Yeah, the annual report.
yeah, so that's all moving along, so we'll talk about that a little bit more under proposed next meetings.
Rich, it might be good, I don't know how you guys feel as a board, but it might be good to have at least if Donna doesn't have that research done in time when the first draft comes, to have a placeholder amount in there, maybe the equivalent of what Tracy's setup looks like, just so that we can have a number to work with.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what we discussed at the last meeting, that, Donna doesn't have to reinvent the wheel if, she can steal a little from Tracy's information, at least give her, some budgeting numbers to work with, excuse me.
And the site stuff can come later.
But site can also add a lot of cost to the project. Unless she's gone, but Ms. Plimpton convinces somebody to do the work. So, is there any other questions, any other thoughts on budget? We'll start hitting that the second meeting in January. Good, we'll move right on. Any other new business from anybody? Seeing none. We have consent agenda. We have the minutes of the December 4th, 2023 meeting. Were there any comments on that? Oh, go ahead. Yes, Tracy.
I just wanted to let Meredith know that I was in person, not virtual, at that December 4th meeting.
She was predicting the future.
Yeah, we know you were there because we were loading up your car with recycling, right?
That's right, compost.
Compost, not recycling, Bob. That's what Mike said. He was the one loading it, so, you know. Tracy, I would have never done that to you. So, other than that correction, is everybody good with the minutes? Cool. I have no correspondence. Bob, you got anything? Tracy or
No.
Donna? No, seeing a lot of head shaking. So we proposed the next meeting to be January 8th, so we're in a little weird year. I don't know if that's really a rhyme, but we, the first is obviously, our first Monday is the first, and then our third Monday is Martin Luther King. So we've talked about possibly going January 8th at 5 p.m. in Wardsboro. We're going to try to get back on our schedule, and then we would do 2 weeks later, which would be the week after Martin Luther King holiday, and that would be when we would have Lori come, possibly live or virtual, to discuss budgets. And we asked if everybody could just check your calendars and make sure that works for everybody. Go ahead, Kate.
I had in my notes, and then Meredith also had in the minutes, that we were going to do, the next meeting was going to be Monday, January 8th at 5 p.m. at Wardsboro, but then the meeting after that would be Monday, January 29th.
29th. So it's 2 weeks after Martin Luther week.
Yep.
And Bob, does that work for Lori? Does that work for the?
Yep.
Does that work
I
for?
think she will come live when she does her presentation.
Does that work for everybody on the board? And Tracy and Donna?
I'm not sure. Depends what time my husband gets home from the hospital that day. So I'll let you know.
Okay. Let's pencil that date in, and then let's just talk about it at the meeting on the 8th. Go ahead, Chad.
Rich, I'm sorry, this should have come up with additions to the agenda. I don't know if you recall, I did send an email to you and Kate, just so we could have a quick public notification about what should happen in case food service is not available from Dover, either for the Dover students or the Wardsboro students, just so that it's known to the parents, and that we, what the options are, that we do have a contingency plan in place. Again, it could happen, as it was a potential, as Dover announced their school closure ahead of Wardsboro, but I think we should recognize that there's a possibility that, power goes out in one building, or, heaven forbid it never happens, that there's some sort of, health inspector type issue that creates, or renders the Dover kitchen not usable. It is a matter of the public record that it's out there, what we have. And I think, again, something that would be great for the website once we get there. Bless you, Dwight. What the contingency is for food service.
Yeah, and we asked Bob to look into that, and we had to give him a little time to come back to us. So
Okay.
that'll be
Great.
on an agenda probably in the beginning of January.
All right, thank you.
We have
Okay.
some shifts that will be implemented after the break that I think will help alleviate some of it, but yeah, we'll have some more information there.
Oh, Tracy, you were going to say that too, I think. Okay, go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, again, seems like a moment for, reflection about our combined district and what are the best ways for coordinated weather issues. So I'm looking forward to hearing reflections on that.
Yes.
It's extremely exciting first year for everyone.
Let's just hope it's not their last year, folks. So, Tracy, don't smile like that. It makes me nervous. Bob, it's even worse with you, buddy. So the only other business that we had is we tried to, as a board, with help from Bob and his office, We want to surprise the staff and the administrators in both buildings, because I know you guys have not had an easy maiden run as running these buildings. So we wanted to try to, and we had a lot of volunteers to do a surprise luncheon for you all and your staff, so that we would take somebody to watch the students or work with the students and let you guys have a quiet lunch with your staff supplied by the district. Unfortunately, we were creating even more problems for Bob than we thought that was going to do. So, and then we didn't want to do one school, not the other, because we thought we wanted to make it a surprise, but it just didn't work out. So when Kate and I did the agenda, we had a conversation, and we thought the best thing to do was let you folks know about it. We're sorry we couldn't pull it off before, we were hoping on Friday, the last day of school, but that may have created even more issues for you all. So we are going to sponsor a luncheon for both buildings for all the staff on an in-service day. I think it's report card day, Bob said. But Bob is going to be in touch with you, and that was a pretty unanimous, everybody on the board really want to do something for you folks, for not just for you as administrators, but for your staff, because we know that a lot of them have really gone the extra mile or 100 miles. So again, Tracy, if you were here, I'd pat you on the back, but you're not. So if you all pat yourselves on the back and thank your staff, wish them all a very happy holiday from the board, and that we tried to do it. It just we couldn't pull it together. But I believe it's sometime in January that we're going to have. We are going to take care of y'all and do something so you guys can relax and have a good time and not have to clean up the mess. Mike and I are going to clean up the mess we got voted in. Dwight, I think you have to help too. We're going to stick you in Wardsboro. But anyway, so thank you very much. And we hope you all have a great holiday, and we really appreciate the hard work. And, all I can hope is that, 2024 starts off a lot better than school year 23-24 did. So with that being said, I think we've covered everything on the agenda. So would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:06 p.m.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mike seconds it. Hey, happy holidays, everybody. All those in favor say aye.
Right?
Thank you, everybody.